Hey guys, Q here for thebuttonsmashers.com, and this is our review for Lost for Darkness. If you've got a bad heart, then avoid this game like the plague. The developers recommend playing it in a dark room with headphones, but I say no, don't do that shit unless of course you're crazy or something, or like Superman. Doing so exposes you to one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever come across. If you haven't guessed by now, I'm not a fan of horror games, so it should come without surprise that I don't play many titles in this genre. Games like these teach you the difference between passively watching a horror movie, which I'm completely comfortable with, and participating in a horror game. You see, I'm not usually fazed by scary movies, and watching other people play scary games is all fine. In fact, my co-host from That Beautiful Life is an avid fan of horror games. Roger loves those stuff, and I've watched him stream them regularly enough without being bothered in the slightest. So why is that? Well, you see, being a bystander in a horror experience means that you are passively interacting with them. You're not part of the experience, you're just watching it unfold. In fact, it's similar to watching video footage of a war going on in another country instead of actually being there in that country yourself. Being there would mean the constant fear of your well-being, but watching, that's nothing. Grab a bag of popcorn and vicariously feel sad for the characters on screen while you have your comforts. Games like these show us just how influential games as a medium are. They enforce the notion that this is a medium that needs careful but informed regulation. Games like this should have an S rating for scaring the living shit out of me, and now my chest pains. That's just because, you know, I'm not about that scare in life. The sound and visuals create an overwhelming atmosphere that would impact most players, especially when playing in the dark at night with headphones on like the developers recommended. Crazy people. The sound of footsteps behind your character or the well-effective use of lighting makes for a very surreal experience. I've played this game using my Lucid Song LS30s with the bass and treble on full, with mostly high settings locked to 30 frames per second. This is a demanding game that even at high settings at 1080p, it still stutters to keep a steady frame rate throughout. This however was not a deal breaker for me, as the stuttering was not frequent enough to affect my experience. On high settings, the game looks great, although there is a surprising underuse of certain visual effects like reflections. Walking up to a mirror and not seeing my character made me feel like I was playing a ghost simulator as a ghost who's afraid of other ghosts. The controls are fairly standard with WASD and the arrow keys serving as movement input, while the mouse controls the camera. Controlling the characters are easy, however they move like tanks working their way through thick mud. Picking up items to inspect them are standard. You can also hold certain items if needed for progress, but this is always clear as the option is never there if you don't need it. Other than that, there's not much to do. The game is linear to a fault, so despite the environment being littered with interactive objects, most of them don't really do anything. The game also unfortunately has no controller support, so players like me with limited ability to use keyboard and mouse are going to have to sit this one out. My hope is that the devs add controller support in the future for those of us who wish to play the game using that input option. Controls aside, what is the game about? It's mainly about a woman who goes missing in a terrifying tantric mansion. Initially, I had interest in the title due to its promise of some delicious scenes. Bondage, roleplay, menage-a-trois. These were just a few of the things that I expected before playing, but that's not the focus of what this game is about. In fact, most of the mature scenes are censored thanks to the clever use of camera angles and visual effects. The rest are relegated to artistic renditions, tantric scenes, and horribly disfigured terrors with questionable appeal. For the most part, you'll be experiencing these scenes from the point of view of a bystander, kind of like a person passing through a museum. Oh, and as mentioned, I can't stress this enough, the focus is greatly on the horror element more so than any other aspect, and thanks to the very linear plot, it's possible to complete this in a single sitting, if your heart can manage it, that is.
Someone just hung up. He'll call me back if he cares.
So with all that I've had to say so far about this game, here's my final verdict. I mentioned at the beginning that horror games are not among my preferred genres, and I stand by that statement. If anything, this title helped reinforce that belief. Now don't misunderstood, I think this is a good game which will appeal to fans of this genre, but I don't believe it will attract newcomers. The linear plot means that though the game is well paced, it doesn't feature anything that will appeal to fans of other genres, especially JRPG fans like myself. There's no reason for exploring, just a direct route from beginning to end. I guess you can say this game is like walking through a haunted house rather than walking through a creepy forest during Halloween. Neither of which you will ever find me doing, because like I say, I like living too much. So, thank you very much for watching our review of Lost for Darkness. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to leave us a like and a comment in the comment section below. And if you'd like to see more content like this from us, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you'll always know when we put up new content.